I'd like to call the School Innovation and Turnaround Committee in order. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Dr. Bofi? Dr. Bofi is not present. Mr. Castile? Mr. Castile is not present. Dr. Davis?
Here.
Dr. Davis is present. Ms. Ellis?
Here.
Ms. Ellis is present. Mr. Garvey?
Here.
Mr. Garvey is present. Ms. Holloway?
Here.
Ms. Holloway is present. Ms. Mellering?
Here.
Ms. Mellering is present. Mr. Morris?
Here.
Mr. Morris is present. Ms. Orange Jones? Ms. Orange Jones is not present. Mr. Rock? Mr. Rock is present. Ms. Gautier? Ms. Gautier is not present. We do have a quorum.
Thank you. First item, please.
The consent agenda is ready for approval.
Second. Mr. Rock? Thanks, Luke. Thank you. Next item, please.
The first item is on page 3, item 3.1, consideration of a material amendment to the Type 2 Charter Contract governing International High School of Louisiana. The recommendation is to approve.
Can we get a motion? Ms. Davis? Ms. Holloway, second. Thank you. Superintendent?
No report. I mean, it's recommendations to approve.
Public comment? No comment? Any objection to the motion? Hearing none, motion passes. Next item, please.
The next item is on page 10, item 3.2, consideration of the status report regarding charter school enrollment percentages of economically disadvantaged students and students with disabilities. The recommendation is to receive.
Ms. Davis, thank you. Ms. Ellis, got a second? Thank you. Superintendent?
That lengthy report is in your handout, and we're available for questions if you have it.
All right. We've got one public comment card. Members, any discussion before we go to public comment? Dr. Davis?
I was wondering if we could go through line by line each charter school and. But I would like to say that I would really love it, and I think I probably asked this before, if like we could have a column that said how many years out of, even if it was just like the last 5 that have been out of compliance, that would make me happy, otherwise that's it.
I actually got that.
Yes, sir.
All right, and Dr. Davis gets the prize for a sense of humor today. Dr. Roby?
Max, can you give me the 30,000 foot breakdown that you gave me on the prep call?
I can, yes. As you know, this is a report that deals with enrollment of economically disadvantaged students and student with disabilities, both in charter schools and in traditional public schools. The law itself requires us to report on types 1, 2, 3, and 4 charter schools. Those are the results that you see on pages 6, 7, 8, and 9 of the report. What the report does not ask us about, though, are the type 3B and the 5 charter schools, which are the schools that were part of the RSD and went back to the Orleans Parish School Board, and the type 5s are the ones currently are in the RSD. The reason I'm pointing that out is because this report will look a little bit different than those in past years. On page 5, going by page numbers on the bottom of the report, I'm not sure about your guys' packet, but the findings look slightly different this year. Instead of just looking at the types 1, 2s, 3s, and 4s, we added in the 3Bs and the 5s because those make up approximately 25% of charter schools across the state. When we looked at those numbers, we saw that 80% of charter schools met or exceeded economically disadvantaged requirements, and 91% of those schools met, exceeded, or enrolled within 10% of the school's required percentage of economically disadvantaged students. When it comes to students with disabilities, 78 out of 146 charter schools, that's 53%, met student with disabilities requirements. 120 schools, so about 82% of schools met, exceeded, or enrolled within 3% of the school's required enrollment percentage. The rest of these bullet points are in response to additional feedback that we got that asked us to provide a little bit more context, show how close schools are getting, or how far away they are. Those bullet points and that structure repeat itself throughout this report to help you guys understand this is where all schools are or are not meeting requirements, both with ED, students with disabilities. Then it goes economically disadvantaged, types 2s and 4s, 1s and 3s, and then students with disabilities, types 2s and 4s, 1s and 3s. The roll-up conversation and the roll-up data is on page 9 of the report. There is a table that shows that all charter types, the 1s, 2s, 3s, 3Bs, 4s, and 5s, met 80%. 80% of those schools met that requirement. Last year, that number was not calculated because we did not include the 3Bs and the 5s. However, if you go down to the types of 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s, which is what this report requires that we report on, last year that number was closer to 90%. Now we're down to our 74%. We can talk about why that is the case, especially when we get to the portfolio that you authorized and that we are responsible for overseeing. The very quick discussion that we had said that for our type 2s and our 4s, when it came to economically disadvantaged percentages, there are 12 schools on the list. 12 schools did not meet it this year. Of those 12, 2 of those schools are brand new schools, Geo Baker and LA Key Academy North Shore. There are 6 schools that are on the list this year that were not on the list last year. Each of those schools is within approximately 5%. And then there are 4 schools that have consistently not met the mark for at least 3 years in a row. Those would be the LA School for Agricultural Sciences, the Louisiana Renaissance Charter Academy, Avoyelles Public Charter School, and Lycée Français in New Orleans. To kind of put that further into context, we need to remember that the LA School for Agricultural Sciences is our only Type 1 in the state and has a very special, very unique mission that could impact its enrollment. Acadiana Renaissance is a school that has not met its required percentage and is typically at least 10% or so off. Avoyelles Public Charter School, they have not met their percentage 3 years in a row, but they are consistently within 2.5% to 3%. So they are up or below, or just kind of vacillating in that manner. And then lastly, you have Lycée Français, which comes up a lot in terms of these conversations. But I do want to point out the fact that in 2013, they had an at-risk percentage of 38.5%. Today, that number is 50.2, and if you go back and you look every year since 2017, that number has grown or they've maintained the growth that they've seen. Saying all that to say, when it comes down to economically disadvantaged percentages, I think that you can explain a lot of this variance in terms of a new school not opening with the right percentages, 2 schools that were not on the list last year that are currently on the list here that need to stabilize, and then 4 schools that we need to prioritize in terms of interventions moving forward.
So what does that look like? I bring it up because I just remember having this conversation and trending downward, right? And if we are called to question by the legislature on this issue, how do we explain trending in the wrong direction?
Yeah, I think it's a really good and important question. The reason that I just presented the data in that way is because this is going to take differentiated intervention. Right? For the schools that just opened, they have more runway before their next renewal to turn that around. Excuse me. For those 6 schools that vacillate, many of them have actually been increasing, but we need to stabilize that enrollment. And then for those 4 that need more attention, we need to take that a step further. What we've done in the past and what we did this round, once we saw that they hadn't met those percentages, we confirmed that they are running weighted lotteries. We confirmed that they are offering transportation. We've confirmed on their application that they make it clear that they prioritize economically disadvantaged students and students with disabilities. Those are things that the National Association of Charter Schools Authorizers would tell us are best practices when you're trying to serve students, special populations. Those things are not moving the needle for these schools. The next opportunity that these schools have to make a meaningful difference is this spring's lottery. So we need to take this fall and dedicate the time to these schools to really look under the hood and say, all right, we've tried those general interventions. What does it look like to go deeper? What does it look like to make sure that you are going to move the needle this upcoming spring? And then I think we need to report out on that progress, just as we have, or adding that component to this report in future years.
For schools that are so far off or trending in the wrong direction,
Yeah.
do you think that's the right solve for it?
I think that's the next step in the solve. Yes.
Okay. What do you need from us?
That's a great question. There have been 2 instances. There are 2 schools on this list, to be very transparent, that are not meeting this requirement. And we, the department, have brought forward recommendations saying to address this issue, we recommend putting conditions on what the school is asking to do. That happened both in terms of a transportation waiver, and it happened when a school was asking us to expand their enrollment in light of not meeting these requirements. At the end of the day, those proposals were not the ones that moved forward and became the final part of the recommendation. So if anything, I think it would be to just consider the impact that the other.
To ask them for information around their marketing campaigns and the neighborhoods that they target with their mailer. Like I get mailers for that new one that's opening up in Baton Rouge all the time. And so I'm just curious if we have the ability to ask for information like that to make sure that they are targeting students with large numbers of, neighborhoods with large numbers of students with economic disadvantage.
Yeah, and thank you for the reminder. Every year we put out something called the annual reporting calendar, where schools need to submit a number of documents to us. One of the things that we have added this year and that we're clarifying is an enrollment and recruitment plan on the front end for all of our schools. So that then we can say this is what they told us that they were going to do. If on the back end we're not seeing that with the needle, then we have another starting place to have that conversation. So yes, we can and we will request that.
Members, other comments? We've got one comment card, Mr. Gary McGoffin wishes to speak.
I'm just here for information on the KDA Renaissance, if there be any questions. If not, I'll wait.
Members? Hearing none? Any further comment? All right, any objection to the motion? Hearing none, motion passes. Next item, please.
That concludes the agenda.
Thank you. Adjourn.